time I have a man who is, well, he's no stranger really to the Observer. Good friend of mine, a man who I respect dearly. I like his writing, and of course, he's very outspoken. Let me say a pleasant good evening to Mr. Steve Alvarez. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening, Good evening, Tobago.
All right, I can hear you better now. Good evening. Thank you so much for linking with us here this evening. I want to ask you from your perspective, dive right into it. What does this local government election mean?
Well, local government is supposed to be one of the most important aspects of governance in any country, and especially in the developed world. But we have a problem here in Trinidad and Tobago, especially Trinidad and Tobago, and I should go to say especially Trinidad, because Tobago has the Tobago House of Assembly, where local government is just an extension of central government. And let me tell you why I say this. There was a recent interview with Louis Leasing on another program, and he was giving praise to the minister, the then minister of local government, Suruj Bachan, I think it was at that time, where he said, "Thank God for Suruj, I was able to get $50-something million to pursue whatever I had to do at the city corporation for the state." The reality is, as it stands right now, local government can do nothing unless the minister of local government, and of course, unless cabinet approves the budgetary allocations and so on. And by extension, the same thing happens in Tobago, because if the government wanted to, they can starve Tobago of resources and so on.
All right.
So when people get excited about local government election, I am not, because until there's the required changes to the legislation that brings local government up to the international standard of what local government should be, then we're really wasting our time. And today is a good example of that. You see people in Barrackpore, and they're blocking the road because they can't fix a simple thing like a pothole.
Yeah, and you're right. And then when you think about the fact that there's modern technology that can do almost so many things, you still have people who are burning tires and have to go out there and say, listen, I simply want access. I want to get home. And this access is beneficial all around, whether it be the agricultural aspect of it, whatever, domestic tourism. And it makes you wonder, why would any government not want to deal with these situations in order to keep that wheel of production turning to make things a whole lot easier? I mean, we've gone from saying that countries are banana republic and what have you, we're talking about developed, not so developed, underdeveloped, whatever terminology that is politically correct. But at the end of it all, why do we still have to suffer for these basic amenities?
Well, there's a reason for that, you know. Mikey, you have to look at the reality. When you have a political meeting, especially for small parties and so on, it's very, very difficult to get people to turn up at a political meeting and to give the sort of impression that you're making the impact that you should. Because that's the only way that the public can say that they're making an impact, because they can see the crowds and so on. But if you have people depending on you for employment, like CPEP and URP projects, then you have a situation where you can demand that they send 2 maxi taxis or 3 maxi taxis, and they can have the sort of crowds that you want. And that's what this whole thing is about. Elections is about getting people to be dependent on the party. And strong local government is the total opposite. It makes the communities independent of central government. So that, I'll give you an example. Take New Jersey, say South Orange, New Jersey, for example. They don't care whether the White House give them approval or not approval for funding, because in South Orange, New Jersey, they can get the funding they want. They can raise the taxes they want through local taxes and so on to get South Orange what is needed in terms of security, in terms of water, in terms of electricity, in terms of fire services. All those various things that happen are controlled by the communities themselves. And the same thing goes for most communities in the United States of America. The federal government looks after the federal things. But the local government is a very strong body. Same thing goes for England. And the same thing goes in Barbados, right next door. So if you have strong local government, then you're not dependent on central government. And central government don't like that. Central government like the fact that they can demand that you send these people here and they can demand that you act in a certain way. So until such time that central government
right.
the whole they have a local government, then local government is really
and I understand all of that, and I think the listening public and those who are viewing, I think they understand that. I mean, that is the core, that is the meat of it all as far as service. Councillors are the first line of governmental service. They're the ones who are out there, the ones who come about, whatever it be, infrastructure, what have you. But yet still, when we have a campaign, all of that is lost. And up comes the race card. Up comes something that is going to divide the country, something that is trivial, that is meaningless. And all of that, as far as having water supply, adequate water supply, proper garbage collection, proper infrastructure, better drainage, all of that, as far as serving the people, is lost. And it is all sold on the fact that it is us versus them. Where do we move from there? Or how do we move from there?
You make me laugh, because you are hitting the nail on the head. The factors that matter in terms of what should matter, those service to the communities, how do you get your community to be best served in terms of the demands of the community? Those things don't feature in an election campaign. Look at it already started. Today, there was a protest in Barpo, and the residents of Barpo were saying to the minister, to the representative, now he is not a minister, he's the opposition representative, they were saying, we don't see you, you don't do anything for us, and we have to burn tires and so on. And his answer was, well, vote out the PNM. Our elections are never about asking people to account for what they do or how they do, or what, our election is always based on voting out the other one because they are corrupt, or voting out the other one because they have some racial undertones or something like that. It's never dealing with the factors that you just spoke about. And as this election for local government gets heated up, you're going to see more and more of the subliminal message on race, and more of the subliminal message on us versus them. And that started today. They're saying, vote out this one and vote out that one. But you are not hearing people coming to the campaign and say, this is our plan for local government. This is how you can now empower the people in our community. This is how you're going to fix your roads, and this is how we're going to do your street signs. And all the overgrown playgrounds in your communities will now be transformed into playgrounds that can encourage young people to come and play football and cricket in the community. You don't hear those kind of things. You're not going to hear people talking about, that bridge in the back. Take, for example, the hanging bridge in Moruga. It's about to fall into the river. You're not going to hear somebody come and say, well, we have to save the bridges, the last two hanging bridges in Trinidad and Tobago. You're not hearing that. You're going to hear a campaign about who thief, who bad, who this, who that, and who crossing the floor and all that, and nonsensical things. And that's why I think that we have to get to the point of in Trinidad and Tobago, the citizens have to say, listen, I am not taking this anymore. We are not going down this road of senseless campaigning. We want to know, what are you bringing to the table? What are your plans? And that's why, for example, the group in which I am involved in Hope, we're saying that, listen, there's no point to participating in this local government election because it does absolutely nothing to help the communities in its present format.
Mr. Alvarez, I want to thank you so much for taking time. Closing comments, please.
Well, there's hope for Trinidad and Tobago. Tomorrow and the days ahead, we have to talk to each other as brothers and sisters, comrades, people in all our communities, and recognize that we are one people, one nation, under one flag, and we have to come together to save Trinidad and Tobago from the ketchup and the mustard.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alvarez. Thank you so much.